So I know you're skeptical. I would be too. There's a lot of companies out there building basic AR-15s, painting them up, putting fancy labels on them, and selling them for ridiculous prices. X2 Dev Group has built a completely different rifle that can barely be called an AR-15. If you give me a couple minutes, I want to show you around the features of this rifle and show you why it's something completely different. Whether or not you need one, it is interesting. Welcome back to OG's Danger Show. Last summer, I was fortunate enough to tour the X2 Dev Group facility in Boise, Idaho. Even cooler, they tore apart a basic Palmetto State AR-15 that I brought and equipped it with one of their Trident barrels, a VF-18 forward brake, and their badass Jackal charging handle. Now, while I was there, I got to run their ARX LightFighter rifle through its paces, and man, was I impressed with how that thing shoots. It had a smooth, light recoil like no other AR-15 I've ever shot. Like any video I make about high-end products that cost a little more than your average Harbor Freight tools, I got a few comments complaining about how X2 was just making another basic AR-15 and charging 3 times the price for it. Now, I was fortunate enough to see how the thing was being made, and I got to talk with the designers and the machinists about why it was so much more than a basic AR-15. In fact, you really can't call this thing an AR-15. It's like X2 rebuilt the modern sporting rifle, and it just resembles an AR-15. For those of you who think this is just a high-priced AR, give me a couple minutes to show you why it's not anything like a regular AR. And I'm not saying this rifle is for you. Most of you won't go out and buy one after watching this outstanding video production. But I think the rifle nerds like me will find the differences in this thing very intriguing. Now, X2 didn't pay me to review their rifle. They didn't give me a free rifle. I had to drive down the mountain and borrow this from a secret agent.
Also, dude, Chinaman is not the preferred nomenclature.
Well, who knows? He's so secret, maybe he is a secret Asian agent. X2 did, however, give me a coupon code that viewers of OG's Danger Show can use to save 15% off of any of their parts or their rifles until January 11th. There's going to be another code that will save my viewers 10% off of anything they buy from X2 Dev Group until the end of time. And the end of time could be coming sooner than we expected. This discount includes brakes or barrels or charging handles or the entire LightFighter rifle. Now, I can't leave you links and codes and discounts in the video or even in the description section. YouTube will think I'm selling guns and they'll send a soy boy from San Francisco up to Idaho in his Prius to spank me. And I can't have that. But if you watch this video and you're interested in a LightFighter rifle or just a Trident barrel or a VF-18 brake or even just a Jackal charging handle, who knows? There may be someone in the comment section below this video who is talking about how to get a discount code and get your own X2 gear. Now, after X2 pimped my PSA rifle back in the summer, I got very familiar with how well their muzzle device worked. You can even see it in these video segments. The gases are pushed out to the front of the shooter, and while this seems like it should push the rifle back into your shoulder with increased recoil, like basic rocket surgery, the wizards at X2 have designed a brake that reduces recoil while solving the problems of most brakes and flash hiders. Look at some of these shots of the rifle in action. Notice how flat the damn thing stays while shooting. It's crazy. Everyone knows that muzzle brakes tame recoil, but they don't do much for flash suppression. Did you know that muzzle brakes are actually dangerous for the shooter and the dudes around him? You've probably felt a brake kicking gases out if you've ever stood next to a guy at the range who was shooting one. You felt that concussion and noticed how it rattles your ribcage like a fist punch from Rosie O'Donnell. That concussion isn't good for your brain, and prolonged use of a rifle set up this way can actually cause significant medical issues down the road, even if you religiously wear ear pro, and you should. It's not about the noise, it's about the concussion and what it's doing to your gooey bits. The VF-18, which stands for Vent Forward, cuts recoil while acting as a blast diverter. They've designed this thing to be muzzle neutral, so it's not pushing your muzzle too far down like you see some brakes doing. X2 uses what they call complex flow technology to achieve this magical recoil reduction while almost eliminating muzzle concussion to the shooter or anyone standing next to him. Instead of just shooting gases forward or venting them off to the sides through simple round ports like most brakes do, the VF-18 sends your gases over a bunch of little cuts and spikes that the geeks down there at X2 call microstructures. Now this works similar to a suppressor. As your muzzle gases pass over these little microstructures, the gas is compressed and expanded over and over again. It creates forward thrust. You can get a peek at those microstructures here on this tabletop video when I was able to shine a flashlight in there. These little cuts divert the blast away from the shooter while reducing recoil. It's weird, I know, and it doesn't seem like it would work, but I'm here to tell you it does. I have one installed on my PSA rifle, and of course this Secret Asian LightFighter came equipped with one. I wanted to see if the brake felt any different on the LightFighter than on my cobbled together bastardized rifle. Well, the entire package of this LightFighter makes this rifle a dream to shoot, and I shot it a lot while I had it in my possession. The combination of a lightweight rifle, a perfect weight balance, and this brake make this rifle shoot like no other rifle I've ever shot. AR-15s are easy to shoot, we all know that, but this thing felt more like a Nerf gun than a rifle. The conditions on the top of Danger Mountain were abysmal the entire time I had this rifle. It was snowy and the temperatures were hovering just above zero. For those of you in cabbage counting countries, this means the temperatures were around -15 or so. I expected the rifle to freeze up at some point and choke, but it never stopped. It chewed up and spit out boxes and boxes of ammo over the time I tested it. I had 55 grain, 62 grain, 69 grain stuff from Australia left over. It ate through all this ammo without even a problem. I dropped it in the snow more than once, and I decided just to shoot it without clearing it all away. I made sure the muzzle brake was clear. I didn't want to blow up a borrowed barrel, but the LightFighter had no problem whatsoever. The magical muzzle brake is attached to X2's fluted Trident barrel. Now, they didn't just name it this because they want to make it sound all cool. They actually developed this barrel design while working with the Crane Naval Surface Warfare Center. While they were working on perfecting their suppressor design for the U.S. military, something they've done for quite a while, X2 ended up developing a better barrel. Big deal, you say, it's got flutes. Well, X2 made these flutes deeper than anything you've ever seen, and it ended up making this barrel super light while allowing it to cool much faster than regular barrels. There's 400% more surface area to this barrel than a regular barrel, and that lets heat dissipate much faster. It ends up pushing the heat from rapid firing forward and evenly distributing it down the entire barrel. This not only keeps your whittle fingies from being burned on a hot handguard, but a cool barrel shoots more accurately, and of course it lasts much longer over time. It also makes the barrel much more rigid and able to take abusive conditions. Now, gas blocks don't usually interest me much. I don't often see them, and I don't adjust them or take them off. That's not my level of gunsmithing. X2 has designed a gas block that solves a lot of the issues found with traditional gas blocks. Most pinned gas blocks have a set screw that gets dialed right into the little gas chamber as you tighten it, and that pin obstructs the gas flow and eventually causes some carbon buildup issues. Pins inside your gas block can also cause gas leakage. And if you've ever had a serious case of gas leakage, you guys know it's something to be avoided at all costs. X2 uses 2 dog nose screws to secure their gas block to the barrel. This ensures that it won't ever come loose or rotate out of alignment. If you ever need to take it off for any reason, it's going to reattach and be precisely aligned every single time. Even better, this gas block is adjustable, and X2 gives you a package of these little gas regulator modules with different hole dimensions in each one. You don't have to be a gunsmith to swap out regulators for different types of ammunition, or when attaching a suppressor. It's easily done right there on your wife's kitchen table. You might have already noticed the straight gas tube. This sends gas merrily on its way back to the gas key in a straight line. No bends or angles or anything to get fouled up or weaken over time with heat. The super lightweight handguard is made out of extruded 6061 aluminum that X2 mills from blanks right there in their shop. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, almost every part of this rifle is made right there under the X2 roof. They make their own pins and detents. They make their own bolts and bolt carriers out of titanium, I might say, and this bolt is quite a bit lighter than a standard AR-15 bolt. Their springs come from Utah, and if I'm not mistaken, that's right here in the US too. The triggers are made right here by Rise Armament, And the flat face trigger breaks crisp and clean at just under 2 pounds on my Wheeler trigger pull gauge. By the way, thanks to my Patreon supporters for helping me out with that little device when my last one broke recently. So I once thought that flat triggers were a goofy trend, but I now have them on some pistols and rifles, and I've come to like them, so I guess I'm now trendy. But back to that cool handguard. It's designed to interlock with the receiver for a solid lockup that won't wiggle or rotate or come loose. It locks into this heavy-duty trunnion that extends out from the receiver, making this a truly free-floated handguard. These quarter-inch hex bolts hold the entire system together. And get this, the bolts are also QD sling attachment points.
How neat is that? That's pretty neat.
The 4 triangular tab slots that are milled into the handguard lock into corresponding triangular tabs milled into the receiver. And there's no way it's going to shift around or rotate. When I first saw these things being built at X2's facility, this was the thing I was most impressed with. Call me a simpleton, but I'm easily amused. The receiver of the LightFighter was created by industrial design engineers to be smooth, with flowing lines that won't snag on all your other gear. The magwell has this sweeping, curved design to it that makes inserting a magazine just stupid fast. Unlike traditional receivers that have all these holes drilled in there to accept a bunch of springs and detents and collect a bunch of garbage, the LightFighter has an ambi mag release and ambi bolt release attached with one dog nose screw. Just another thing that makes this rifle more reliable and easier to use. Fewer holes means fewer places for crap to get caught, and fewer springs to shoot across the kitchen when you take your rifle apart. Hey, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up down below. I'll wait right here and not do anything else until you hit the thumbs up. Go ahead. Oh, I saw one of you not thumbs upping the video. Okay, one of the things I really like about this, these controls set up for a right-handed shooter, all right here, well within reach, without changing your firing grip. I can drop the empty magazine. I can insert fresh magazine into that oversized flared magwell, and without adjusting my grip, using this finger, I can drop the bolt. It'd be a little easier if it wasn't so damn cold out here, all with one finger. And even better, the design is such that the magazine release is a push button, whereas the bolt release is a lift up lever. So there's no mistaking those two under stress and accidentally dropping your magazine when you think you're dropping your bolt by pushing two individual different buttons, like a lot of systems that are out there. The Jackal X charging handle looks big and bulky at first, but it's actually very light, and the handle houses 2 ambi release levers. Now, most charging handles have a single lever that rotates backward, and this can cause a twisting binding motion if you pull it back too forcefully. X2 eliminated this with these straight to the rear levers. You can easily charge your rifle with only one finger, and the design all but eliminates snagging on your gear. The oversized head of the thing means it's tough, and it won't break off when you're using the mortar method to clear a jammed rifle. Now, I've bent a charging handle in the field, and let me tell you, the rifle is done if you bend that thing. Fortunately, I wasn't under any fire at the time because a bent charging handle means your rifle firing days are over. And if you really need your rifle right then and there, all your days might be over. The collapsible stock is made by B5 Systems, just like the pistol grip. It's pretty much self-explanatory, but the buffer tube locks into the receiver and has 3 channels that are cut into the threaded portion, as opposed to the 1 channel cut into most mil-spec buffer tubes. These channels made up with 3 tabs on the receiver end plate. And check this out. The end plate down here has another QD socket punched into it. This socket mates up to a hole in the back of the receiver, making it the 4th point of contact and giving you another option for attaching your sling. Now, the B5 buttstock has 2 QD sockets, one on each side. The handguard has QD sockets at the back and the front, so the rifle comes equipped with 7 sling attachment points before you even think about adding your own to the rail. The rail comes with the typical M-LOK slots at the 3, 6, and 9 o'clock positions, but they also give you these additional M-LOK slots at the 10 and 2 positions, as well as a 12 o'clock long piece of rail, so you have no problem attaching any of the extra doodads that you guys always slap onto your rifle. The LightFighter weighs in at a little over 6 pounds, and X2 claims it will shoot a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch groups at 100 yards all day long. Now, I didn't have a place to ring out that kind of accuracy. Most of my shooting areas are completely buried in snow. but my experience last summer with their Trident barrel and brake on my PSA rifle allowed me to hit a steering wheel sized gong at 500 yards with ease. So I think they know what they're doing when it comes to accuracy. Now, as I mentioned, this rifle isn't for everyone. There are plenty of guys sitting on the toilet right now watching this who are saying, "But my Anderson rifle will do all that stuff, OG, and it only cost me $300. So I'll admit, most of our rifles will outperform our abilities, and they'll get the job done when the North Koreans invade. But like a guy who collects fancy watches, or a guy who likes pricey cigars, or a guy who spends way too much money refurbishing that 78 Camaro for the past 10 years, some guys just like nice things, and some of them have the ducats to get those nice things. If this rifle isn't for you, that's fine. You don't have to tell everyone in the comment section below. But if you want to own one rifle that is built better than any other rifle you've ever seen, and shoots flatter and smoother than any rifle you've ever seen or shot, the ARX LightFighter might be your jam. But if you want to go the cheapskate route like I did, just get X2's parts and convert your own rifle. You can add the VF18 muzzle brake right there in your kitchen. The Trident barrel can be swapped out in the time it takes to watch this video, and the Jackal charging handle is so easy to install that even a booger-eating moron can do it in seconds. If the LightFighter is too spendy for your Keystone Light budget, these parts will make the rifle you already have at home shoot pretty much like a LightFighter. But if your tax return is a good one this year, go ahead and treat yourself nice and get the complete LightFighter rifle. You know you deserve it after all the times you soaked your dishes so your wife could wash them easier, or the times you thought about folding those clothes in the dryer. You're a hard-working man and you should have nice things. Tell your wife OG said it's okay. I hope you guys liked this quick tour around the ARX LightFighter rifle made by X2 Dev Group right here in Boise, Idaho. There might be somebody down in the comment section that are talking about coupon codes that'll save you 15% until January 11th, or save you 10% on anything they make forevermore after that. Hey, if you guys haven't noticed, these are crazy times and they're bound to get crazier. So I'm asking you to stay armed wherever you are, whenever you're out. And until next video, OG out.